Christian Grace.
All right. First of all, Miss Vivian, how are you feeling at this point?
Very good. I never feel good much earlier, but I feel good now.
What has caused change in your mood?
Well, from me as a liberator, when it come like, I don't know me that sleep tonight. From me as a liberator, when everything moving on me, I tell you, it come like a God sent glory. Because me I wonder, how liberate for no win. And look how much things liberate do for the country. So me I tell you the truth, God knows. Me feel good, that's why I'm there tonight.
So based on the projections, you're picking up that it will be a victory for your party.
I'm getting more than victory. Victory for everybody.
Which division did you vote in today?
West Central, St. Catherine.
Do you know the specific division? That's a constituency. You don't know the specific division?
West Central, St.
See, Brandon. That's the division with Mr. Williams, Leroy Williams. So you talk to me now. What was today like for you?
It's just a trouble.
Everybody can see it on TV. Yes. How was today for you?
Today's a good day. We know what the campaign feeling is like. We know what the election bug is like. And I got the bug today. And election is a science. You either feel good and you know you're going to win, or you have doubts. I never have any doubts. Right? And history has shown, based on PM winning margin and our councillor that we voted for 1,000, we never have any doubt. That's a sure seat. Mayor Williams, that's a sure seat. Our only infraction was Councillor Glenn Salmon, and he was doing positive in his division. However, I choose to come up to Belmont Road when I see it was empty because I want to know where are my labor rights.
Yes, right.
Where are my labor rights? I don't know. So may have someone shaking labor rights where I worry. I'm sure I win because the last time I checked at 95 to 100. And we don't have no doubts that the GLP will retain its seat. Right? Even though we like opposition, but we like to control the opposition and keep them where they belong in opposition because we have been waiting for so much. And let's look at the indicators.
Don't take too long though, because it's want to wrap up very quickly.
We are building most VPOs. Right, so we have more people working. We have the most root network. We have more people working. We look at the GDP, we look at the net reserve, we look at all of these indicators. And we see that the GLC is ahead. So, and here's the good thing now. We have more people graduating from school, colleges, high school, colleges. So we know they can make positive decisions and impact our country favorably. So I don't have any doubt, based on my nation's ability to vote for what they want. And I think the decision is clear.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with me tonight. That was two JLP supporters speaking with me here at Belmont Road as the mood has shifted a bit into some form of festivities. Dion, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And we just want to give our listeners and our viewers an update of what we're seeing nationally. Let's put up first what we're seeing in terms of the popular vote. The PNP has polled 303,847 votes to the PNP's 280. JLP, let's start over. PNP 303,847, JLP 282,648. So you're seeing the graphic there on the screen. So the popular vote at this point, the PNP ahead by, that's about 20,000 votes, I believe. Okay, and let's go in terms of the number of divisions that have been declared now. Island-wide, 102 divisions have been declared for the People's National Party. 95 have been declared for the Jamaica Labour Party. So that's 102 declared for the People's National Party, 95 declared for the Jamaica Labour Party. The JLP is leading in 17. The PNP is leading in another 13. So we have there, that's 30 that were yet to declare. JLP leading in 17 of those, and the PNP is leading in 13. So we will see what we will see as those continue to come in and as the final declarations continue to be made.
So at this point in time, the JLP is losing in some of the divisions,
Yes.
because they're at 130.
Yeah.
The PNP has made a marginal 98 in 2016. They're at 102 with 13 leading. So again, not any great thing to shout home about, but it staves off and for the Labour Party, they will see in this as they're not showing us the door. We need to shore up our base and ensure that by the time the next round will be ahead on it.
Not only that, all the promises to commitments
Yes.
have to be fulfilled before the next general election.
Which is why off air I was throwing it at you when I say it's practice. Not to say that you're practicing for the election, so to speak, but you get an opportunity to test the ground, to test your messages, to see what is working and what is not working, and to make a better run for it for the elections.
The cap with the three at the side never click.
I suspect that must have been part of the strategy. I know Clyde was saying, well, it's time to do it. But I suspect that this was also for them risky. But to say, happening to get that kind of sounding. Yes, you want to win, but where are we? And I suspect this is a wake-up call for them. Can they deliver later on? We don't know. But at the end of the day, this is what they're saying.
Okay, our reporter, we're going back to the electoral office. Javon Keys has a clearer picture for us. Go ahead, Javon.
Thank you so much, Dion. Now, before I zoom into the Portmore municipality, which I'll do shortly, I know the question is being asked about the overall percentage voter turnout, and I just wanted to say that a short while ago we asked, but that those numbers are still rolling in, as you can imagine. So we hope to have that before we end. Hopefully,
what a night.
Television Jamaica will have you covered, viewers and listeners. But let's take a look at the Portmore municipality. So 94% of those boxes have been counted. That's 300 of 319 boxes. The timestamp on that is 9:53 p.m. Let's start taking a look at some of those divisions. So Gregory Park Division has 33 of 34 boxes complete, and Markland Edwards, the mayoral candidate, because that's what we're looking at particularly here, we're seeing Markland Edwards leading in this one, with Leon Thomas second, 1,083, 1,482 for Markland Edwards. Let's look at another division, and as we remind our viewers and listeners that the Portmore municipality really has about 12 divisions there, so far one in favor of the Jamaica Labour Party, but of course that's 33 of 34 boxes being counted there. Let's continue as we keep looking at those other divisions. We have 1,026 votes in favor of Markland Edwards for the Portmore Pines division, 946 votes for Leon Thomas. As we continue that look, we will also bring up some more divisions in short order, but as the team on the ground brings those up, just letting you know that 97.5% of the boxes across the island have been counted. So on screen here, we're seeing a bit of a turn there with Leon Thomas, the PNP's candidate, leading Markland Edwards with 1,421 votes for Thomas. Edwards has 806 with 94.4% of the boxes counted, so a slight update there. As we quickly go through, Edgewater has Leon Thomas, again, 28 of 28 boxes. So those two, Waterford and Edgewater, can be declared for the people, well, preliminarily for the People's National Party. As we bring up some more divisions for you quickly, we have Leon Thomas here, again, 1,131 votes versus 904, and this is for Greater Portmore, all 25 boxes complete. So we head to the next division quickly. So we try to paint that picture for you. Leon Thomas having the Brayton division ahead of Markland Edwards, and again, this is the mayoral ticket. Of course, we'll continue to track this one for you. 94%, that's 94.4% of the total boxes counted, 301 of 319. Again, what we're seeing here is the mayoral election. Again, a reminder to you that in Portmore, the citizens don't only vote for their councillors, but they also directly elect their mayor. So we'll see what we can bring to you before we wrap this podcast. But until then, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Javon. And of course, we're hearing there division by division, but we're going to have to tabulate those numbers so we can get a sense of whether, in fact, it is Markland Edwards leading on JLP or it's Leon Thomas of the People's National Party. And that's always an interesting one because of this. It's the only race where we see the people choosing their mayor.
In fact, I find it interesting because it is the only opportunity we have to see two votes, which many people are saying separate the vote for MP from the vote for Prime Minister. And Portmore gives us an opportunity to look how this works out in terms of, and it's not confusing. The people understand. I voted in Portmore. I had my 2 votes. Everybody understand what it is. So it's not anything complex for us in the national election. 2 ballots. 2 ballots. It's not anything complex in the national election to give us 2 ballots. We can choose the Prime Minister and we can choose the MP. And I think Portmore gives us the best example of how this thing could work out in Jamaica. I want to say something also quickly about the efforts and the money being spent. It's not been matched in the pullout. All the efforts over the last 2 weeks and the mass meetings and the huge crowds walking behind and so forth and so on. We're not seeing that on the night of the election. We're below 40%. We might be at about mid-30s as it appears. So that's very interesting that there is a race to the bottom. We'll come back to the point earlier that we made. There's a race to the bottom. What fascinates me in Jamaica, I don't see the parties trying to take on platforms outside of their hardcore issues. So you have a vast number of persons out there who you think that they will be trying to appeal to by taking on some of their platform ideas. Not our politicians. We are racing to the bottom. There you're correct, but it's about the A-list. You go for your hardcore support, you forget everything else. Once you pull out your hardcore support and you have the numbers that you think you're going to win the election, you're satisfied.
Right. An anemic win is better than a healthy loss.
But it's still anemic.
Yes, but they don't care.
But that's a
They don't
challenge,
care.
though, Paul.
They
That's
don't care.
the
I
challenge.
don't think you can just change the system by voting for the Prime Minister.
But it does bring about greater direct accountability. And I'm not saying it's a simple thing because there are some issues we know with a direct election, and you might not have a parliament that supports the Prime Minister. In other words, the Prime Minister wins on the popular vote but cannot pass legislation because he doesn't have a majority in the parliament. So there are some issues in relation to a direct election for the Prime Minister if he does not, if his party does not command the majority of seats in the parliament itself.
How about to start with a direct election of the president?
You mean not a ceremonial president?
Not a ceremonial.
Well, it's the same difference. It's a direct election.
Well, let's start with that first.
But I think what we can get from this, though, is that if we're talking about improving the overall involvement of people, how the system can work and how you can make it Jamaican and how you can make it work for you, is that we have an example in Portmore.
Yes.
Whether or not we decide that this is how we want it to go for the Prime Minister, what we're saying and what we're seeing in Portmore is that you can't vote for 2 people, you can't vote for me.
But how do you inspire people to come up?
So here, you see, that's why I was going underneath the desk. Because I am the one who has that nebulous idea about pitching ideas.
I think your idea is nebulous at all. Your idea is very clearly defined.
At the end of the day, look here, we've been doing this since '62. When I look back at the legislation, and this is where we always come back, Dion, because I see where we copy. There has been no great effort to let us decide and craft a scheme for ourselves.
Except the last 3 bills. To be fair, 2015, 2016 bills, in terms of local governance act, the Joint Services Act,
Correct.
and the one in relation to financial services. So to give it to them since 2015-16, those 3 significant pieces of legislation passed under the previous administration. Those legislation are designed to transform the local
Here
government.
we use the word transform and design. Here's where I would like, and I'm just putting it out there because we all talk about voter apathy. I'm interested in numbers. You talk about the popular vote, meaning how many people turn out. How many people turn out and vote for one party as opposed to the other. Interesting to see that. But it looks like we're still at the same place. There are other issues. Can our parties be creative in how they treat these issues and draw people in? It can be, Clyde.
But
this
it
is
is.
Here.
It is.
It
If you
can
want to
be.
speak about
A
ideas,
member of parliament is going. So hold. Here's where I have the problem now. You go vote and you go vote today. Your party win and your party win and they never go vote.
Yes.
That's them business.
And we're all Jamaicans. And you're gonna tell me, say, you know business about me, because me name vote.
Yes, but
Hold on
Daniel.
one second. Let me just interrupt.
But me not
And as I
Jamaican too.
said, I hope we're going to be going back to the electoral office and go division by division in the Portmore mayoral race so we can figure out exactly what is happening. Of the 5 results that were just called, however, of those 5 divisions, we have the let me see, Leon Edwards of the PNP with 5-0. No, let me go again. Markland Edwards of the JLP with 5025 and Leon Thomas of the PNP 6032. So the PNP right now leading in the mayoral race 6032, 50325. But that is just of the 5 divisions that we heard. We really need to hear the results from all of them. So as soon as we can we go back to the electoral office, please, and ask our reporter to go division by division so we can figure out what is happening in that race. Because we haven't all evening got a picture at all of what is happening in the mayoral race for Portmore. So I'll wait for my producer to give me that signal. And I know I interrupted y'all in full flight, but y'all know it's about the results, really.
It is. And I think what you want to take from it is, as we look at the results, we look at where they are, what it says in terms of, is it a signal, as one person has said, to the party in governance? Is it a bellwether? Is it something that says you need to work on something? But it also creates an opportunity, gentlemen and lady, for us to look at what we need to do to bring more people to the table. That's all. I don't think we should be satisfied by saying I saw it go.
Who is the
Yeah,
we?
but the thing is though,
Sorry, go ahead.
the thing is though that inspiring people to come out is a real challenge that we're facing. We're coming up politics that has been largely leader-centered, beg your pardon. And of course, what has happened now is that the parties are now forced to kind of spread it a bit more because you're not having that kind of charismatic leadership that we have had experience in the past. The other part of all of this is how do we now move the country in this tonight with a state of uncertainty, because there's uncertainty out there right now. Because in terms of how the figures are coming in, at one point you heard, well, that maybe one, they say maybe not, and so on. So persons want to know exactly where are we, what is happening, and I think that is also goes to show the fact that we have a very organized system, because we're talking about what 228 divisions, and to get this information in the way we get it, it's really commendable. Of course. And hopefully we can get to find a way now to see how we can improve on the system. Well, that's possible, not beyond us, but it's going to take some effort and some time.
Going into a third term, I would say, if you look at it, going into a third term, with all the pressures that the JLP have come under, ICI not approved, the Prime Minister's result reports, Integrity Commission still have questions around it, allegations of corruption here and there and so forth. With all of that, JLP looking like, say, the people are not ready to show them the exit. And I think they will take some courage in that. What it will mean, Archer, is that it's going to continue to be a race to the bottom. Our parties, I can tell you this, our parties have no interest in any independent voice and those things. In fact, if you're in your independent voice in a trouble, you tore the line, or you sideline it. So hang on. So your positions are shared by a vast majority of Jamaicans who do not turn out to vote. However, at the end of the day, the persons who turn out determine what happens in this country.
Which is why it's beautiful to segue from what you are saying about how beautiful it is that we can actually vote. Because at the end of the day, if you really want to say, Dion, you have to really vote. Because you said it earlier. Let's work it out.
No, except though that what a lot of people have come to the conclusion is that they don't think it matters. So you say it allows them to have a say, but what people say is black dog and monkey. And whoever may put in them are doing the same thing, so why should I be bothered?
But and
that is the difficulty with this argument.
You have to bother. And this is perhaps just
I think you're agreeing on that. Dion is only
Well,
I mean,
she wants a conversion.
You see when you have a member. Of Parliament will lose or draw to focus only on their voters and to say that we are not concerned about the people who don't vote.
But the fact is, it's wrong. because they are in fact being paid from the public purse.
Thank you.
And you're taking an oath for the people of Jamaica.
So me just calling
it's
it
in
out
fact wrong.
to say, since I can't get the whole cake, Leon, maybe what I can ask for is that this bellwether, this kind of thing, in order to get people more inclusive and talk a little bit more, is to be more respectful of the fact that people want to vote. People want something to vote for, right?
You can form pressure
And I
groups.
was gonna, that's exactly the point I was going.
Pressure groups.
I have actually now come to a conclusion that civil society, the civic society groups, and I know people think a lot of them are they'll have a lot more to influence what actually happens in government than the person who walks in. Every 5 years and drops a piece of paper in the box.
That person will say, okay, it's a pressure group and these are things they want, but is this resonating with the broader population? And if they don't see it resonating, people will engage and listen to what they're doing. I'm saying right now, they're not part of
Person
will come out when they fail off, right? And if there's
Correct.
a comments, the person come out and to rile them up enough, they will move and will come out. And also in terms of enumeration, how many persons are really at least getting enumerated? There are some persons, especially who say, I want to vote. When you check,
Doesn't our voter list influence our jury list?
yes, it does.
Yes.
So they pull from that.
So they pull from the voter list.
But they both
But
of
people
them in
don't
the
like
pits.
with the jury list.
Both of them in the pits. The jury list is in the pits and the voter list is in the pits.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So it's all a question now about
What a
gathering all
long
of
journey
this
out
in.
night, man.
We see what the significant
My
challenges
God.
are. Question is, how do we meet them? Do we
Who is
accept
the
it? We as me and you as a society.
No, but you see, we that's a very because
That's
you
not-
and I as a society fall into the third.
We as okay, I can answer that. But this is where I'm talking about the political parties and their interests, and you've already answered me. So when I say we're talking about the system of democracy here in Jamaica. How does it accommodate for all of this? We are trying to build a system that is Jamaican. I'm simply highlighting that these are the significant challenges that we have, and I think it's foolhardy to simply just accept it for what it is and say, so it's said. It's not gonna make any better. Might as well we do that.
Well, hang on. I don't think anyone at this stage is doing that. What we're simply saying is if you're going to change something, you have to start with what currently exists and why it exists, and then moving forward. And this, what you see here, has been for 40 and 50 years. So this is not something that is just happening every now and again. It's been 40, 50 years of voter apathy in Jamaica. The highest turnout we had was in the 1970s, 80s, up to PJ in the 1990s, thereabout. And since that time, it is not going that way, and so on. And a big part of it had to do with the ideological divide. Right now, there's no ideological or philosophical divide between the two parties. So it's a question of personal. So part of the problem is that the PNP traditionally be left of center, the JLP traditionally be a right party. There was a lot more in terms of differences between the party and people. No, there are very little differences.
Hold on for me. Let me go back to PNP. Go ahead, Giovanni.
First election, it takes so long for declare winner.
Go ahead for me.
Well, I take your point that in terms of what people are voting for, there has been a shift or coalescing of ideas. But we still have to get to that point, Clyde, where we stand at the door of every election, whether we're closing it, and ask, you've said it, we've done this for 40 years. We're now in the midst of dreaming of crafting of constitutional reform. What does this mean? Will these elections play a part then? Significantly in any way in terms of talking about designing or changing?
No.
How do we take from this and improve our system to make it
In fact, the JLP might just hit you with a referendum, a true referendum with one question: do you want Jamaica? Yeah, Republic, yes or no? You see, it is likely. That is why somebody you said this is not a referendum, because probably they are thinking of having a true referendum later this year.
The big question I'm interested to see how the Prime Minister, the leader of the JLP, will answer is that, do I go for an early election if I win this one, or do I push it into 2025?
That might be one of the questions that's put to him. I hear he might be on his way to Belmont Road.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let's take a break. We're back in a moment.
Get it now.
So the Jamaica Labour Party has won 9 divisions in St. Elizabeth. The PNP has won 6.
eGleaner app today.
We're still waiting on the final result.
at home to our viewers as well. The party president, Mark Golding, just arrived. His vehicle is actually parked right behind where I'm standing right now. Just made his way inside. He was greeted by Julian Robinson, and he was taken inside the party headquarters with me. However, at the moment, and I should say as well, that the moment he arrived, of course, the atmosphere here was interrupted. Essentially, things had died down somewhat just before the arrival of Mark Golding. It has now gone back some notch, some decibels, I should say. Vuvuzelas are making my ears ring. But with me is the councillor for the Whitfield Town Division, Eugene Kelly, who retained his seat. Mr. Kelly, quickly, just a reaction from you in terms of returning your seat. How do you feel?
Yes, I am feeling ecstatic that I have retained the confidence of the people. It is a humbling experience.
We spoke earlier with Dennis Gordon, who increased his margins. The number of votes he got increased in terms of what he compared to 2016. Yes. I'm saying that in the context that the results that we're getting from the Electoral Office of Jamaica is that there's been a tie in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation with 17 seats going to the JLP for St. Andrew, 17 for the PNP, 3 seats in Kingston for the JLP, 3 for the People's National Party. And so to decide a councillor, that will come down to a popular vote. If there's not a recount and something changes in either of the parishes, Kingston or St. Andrew, in terms of the popular vote, what's the PNP's feeling in terms of what the numbers are getting?
Information is that we are leading also in the popular vote, and so we expect to take the leadership of the council.
And from that, in terms of the municipal corporation, do you feel at this moment that you'll be reclaiming the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation?
Yes, according to the law as we know it, in the event of the 2020 split, the chief electoral officer of the parish will cast the deciding vote. The tradition is he will use as a parameter the popular vote to go with that as the deciding factor in who should be the mayor of Kingston.
Just outside of that, though, even before we get to that, the mood here is celebratory, and I think because many people are happy, many PNP supporters have said to me so far, and people who I've spoken with from the executive, that they're happy for winning back the Trafalgar division that was won on the PNP ticket from the last election, and also the Papine division that was on Kari Douglas and Venetia Phillips in both instances. Right. Is that driving the mood here at the moment? Because for the rest of the island, it's not yet complete.
And it's not, but additionally, the information you are working with, we have different information, and we believe we're going to get more than 20 seats. That's one. But if, as you say, over the next coming days, there will be final counts. But definitely, those two, we're not bitter. I mean, those seats were traditionally PNP seats. Those persons went against the wishes of their voters in supporting another political party, and it has come home. There's no bitterness there, and we have retained the seat handily. A matter of fact, increase the margins too.
Thank you so much for that. There is Eugene Kelly, the councillor from the Whitfield Town Division for the People's National Party. Again, I'm just going to step outside of the shot just to give you an idea so you can look and see for yourselves, viewers. There's someone speaking from on the compound inside the yard, and the supporters are also here standing and looking. The party president, Mark Golding, moments ago, less than 5 minutes ago, arrived, and he is now inside the party offices. So just before we come back to you in studio, and you and the team.
Thank you so much for that, Giovanni. And once you hear that the party leader has arrived on a cloud, whether it's JLP or PNP, that means you're now standing by to hear the speech that party leader is going to be delivered, whether it's one of victory, one of concession, one of, as we heard from Mrs. Simpson Miller one year, well, we don't know what's going on yet, so we'll wait and see if you have a very close election. So we're waiting to hear, and of course, when it is Mr. Golding as well as Mr. Holness, when they're ready to speak, we'll be going to them. Daniel was saying a little bit earlier on, when we heard mention of it in that interview, this concept of the popular vote and what it means. And let me see. So Daniel, let me ask you to start off. So the popular vote in itself means what?
nothing, as you said, in the context of our voting.
Definition.
The number of persons who come out in support of a particular party. That's basically. So we have, you look at the vote, you will see the number of persons who came out to support the PNP as opposed to the number of persons who came out to support the JLP. In how our system of governance work where we vote, the fact that the PNP or the PNP will have a high popular vote doesn't necessarily mean they'll win the election.
Because,
and that's what you're seeing here now.
Because we go division by division or
right.
constituency by constituency.
And in how we govern ourselves, you'll appreciate that some constituencies smaller and some are larger. So some will get more votes and some will get less votes.
I think it was a deciding factor in the last election in St. Thomas, if I remember serves me right, where they decided who was there. There was a tie,
Right.
and therefore the popular vote, in fact, informed who now.
Right. Which was what Mr. Kelly was explaining when he said, if there's a tie in the KCC, what will happen is that the person who has the presiding vote, the casting vote, that's the presiding officer for the area, they will look at the popular vote. So it's not that personal vote that they will be casting. They're going to be casting a vote based on the popular vote. And that will be what they call a tiebreaker in the constituencies which we have as being tied.
And on that note, let's go back to electoral office because Javon Keys, in fact, does have the popular vote for the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Go ahead, Javon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dion. So earlier we pointed out that there was a stalemate as it relates to looking at the seats. So we had in Kingston, particularly 3 and 3 for JLP and PNP respectively, 17 and 17 in St. Andrew. But when we look at the popular vote, which will be the determining factor, we see where the People's National Party has 64,930, so 64,930, which puts them in the lead. The Jamaica Labour Party has 50,254 electors which voted in their favor. So based on the popular vote, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation preliminarily will go to the People's National Party. So again, 64,930 for the People's National Party versus 50,254 for the Jamaica Labour Party. Let's look at the preliminary data for the voter turnout as well. As it is now, I'm looking on the board and we're still seeing 97.5% of the 6,726 boxes being counted, already counted that is, which means that we have 6,556 boxes complete. But with that data coming in still, the preliminary assessment shows that voter turnout stands at 29.6%. So 29.6%, the preliminary data for voter turnout. Of course, that data will likely be updated as the counting continues. And of course, that's marginally lower than the last local government elections in 2016.
You can go back to the mayoral race in Portmore and take us through division by division. I don't know if that's available, but last time you had given us 5 divisions. But I don't know, are we able to get the counts for each division, even where they are now?
Okay, so I can say that 97.8% of the boxes have been counted. That's 312 of 19 boxes. I'm gonna see if I'll have to move, but if you could give me probably about a minute or so, I'll be able to go through division by division for you as it relates to the mayoral race. So 97.8% of the boxes counted, but I'll see if I can give you all those divisions.
Yeah, 60.
29, 31 or so. It was close.
It was very close. And having seen the disaster that happened in Trinidad and Tobago, sorry, my TNT friends, when they had a tie and the difficulty they had getting their parliament up, electing a speaker and everything, there was a lot of concern here. We now have 63, so the popular vote will not come into play in a general election. It does still come into play in the local government elections. As we've seen, it looks like Clarendon again, looks like KSAMC. If they have equal numbers of divisions won, as was being explained in that earlier interview, the mayor will be chosen from the party that had the popular vote, that is the most number of votes overall. The deputy mayor would come from the other party. So we'll see what happens in those particular divisions. And Javon is saying 97.8% of the votes now in for the mayor of Portmore. So at this point, we should be able to get a pretty good picture of what is happening. Go ahead, Javon, back with you now.
Thank you so much, Dion. So I'll seek to go through all the divisions as quickly as possible. So as I said, 97.8% of the boxes counted. That's 312 of the 319 boxes. And that timestamp is at 10:31. So the Gregory Park division has Markland Edwards in the lead with 1,482 versus Leon Thomas 1,083. The independent candidate had 21 votes, and that's 33 of 34 boxes counted. Let's look at another division. We have Waterford with the PNP's Leon Thomas leading, getting 63% of the votes, 1,421 versus 806 for Markland Edwards, and 11 votes for Howard Hamilton. As we head to another division, Portmore Pines, 1,122 votes, 50% there going to Markland Edwards, 57 votes for Howard Hamilton, and Leon Thomas has 1,047 votes. That's 47% of the total votes in the Portmore Pines division. As we pull up Independent City, that has the Jamaica Labour Party leading. Markland Edwards has 954 votes versus 857 for Leon Thomas, 19 of 19 boxes counted, so that's 100%. As we bring up Westchester, this one only has 18 of 24 boxes counted, only 75% of those boxes counted so far, 713 votes for Markland Edwards, as Leon Thomas leads with 920 votes, or 56%, 22 votes going to Howard Hamilton. Edgewater, 28 of 28 boxes counted. This one preliminarily declared for Leon Thomas, 1,316 votes for him, the Markland Edwards getting 877. So again, 28 of 28 boxes counted. As we bring up another division for you, Greater Portmore North, 25 of 25 boxes, 1,131 or 55% for Leon Thomas, and Markland Edwards gets 904 votes, 44%. And I think that is it for the 12. I just want to make sure that we've gone through, but we have Greater Portmore North, 25 of 25 boxes, 1,131 versus 904 for Markland Edwards. So the PNP getting that one, 21 votes for Howard Hamilton. And that looks just about it. I think I lost count there, but we have 12 divisions there affixed to Portmore, and that's the data we have coming in. So 97.8% of the boxes counted, 312 of 319. That's what that amounts to. 10:34 is the timestamp on that, and that's the data we have coming in at this time.
Thank you so much, Key. It's very helpful there. And somebody is going to be doing the maths on that, viewers and listeners. So as soon as we do get that, we will be bringing it to you and give you a little bit of a better picture, though.
The voter turnout is, I imagine, there's significant disappointment in the parties because the effort on the road that we saw, the numbers. Yeah. I saw someone in my make a lot of noise. I said, brother, that crowd.
Rent a crowd.
That crowd, you must count when the votes in at the box.
True.
And that comes down to canvassing, and that comes down to a road game on the day. When I got up this morning, I saw the movements, and it was going to be low. I had a sense it was going to be low. I didn't see the kind of hustle with the runners. That's right. Because you can know when the runners are coming to they pack up the car and they're gone and so forth. And when I went to several places, I walked around in the constituency that I live. I don't vote there anymore. I vote in Portmore, but I live in a new constituency. I didn't see those kinds of crowds. So insofar as them making it a referendum election, it didn't turn out that way, which means, in my mind, more people are being turned off because with all of this effort and all of the big wigs came out, everybody came out, punch it. And we are below, in fact, this turnout, if it's less than 30, because let me give you the numbers quickly. In 2016, 30%. In 2012, 34.7%. In 2007, 38%, 2003, 40%, 1998, 34%, 1990, 56%, 1986, 65%. So this is going to be among the lowest of the local government election turnouts since 1986.
Okay, and on that note, we'll be back in a few minutes. Let's take a quick break with Simco.
Control of your daily.
Leave to visit, and that is in Russell and Bonavista, which is only 2 PDs. But the rest of 31 PDs so far, my numbers are telling me that I'm leading by far in all of those 31 PDs. I have no doubt about the PD in Russell and Bonavista, because those are 2 of my strong PDs. And those 2 PDs are telling me the numbers I'm getting from there is saying that I'm doing extremely well. So I'm really confident, and I'm feeling really good after the turnout of the Congress in the Mayersville division today.
So far, a lot of peer persons have been strapped and tied to their political affiliation. And most of these people know that they are in stagnancy, but are held by something, I don't know what, if it's a demon or what. But they too know that over the years, they have not been growing, and situation remain the same for them. And we want to put a change to that.
I'm here this evening, and I'm feeling
This local government election takes so long to call. Oh no, I cannot get the final result. Man.
had shared in terms of the mayoral race, the numbers that we had out of the 7 divisions, for the 7 divisions that we heard a short while ago, the PNP's Leon Thomas was at 77.75, the JLP's Markland Edwards was at 68.58, and the independent candidate Howard Hamilton was at 132.
More results. Portmore North, 30 boxes out of 36 counted. Gary Nicholson from the PNP, 1,877, 68% of the votes so far. And Dr. Level, JLP, 898, 32%, 30 boxes of 36 counted.
Okay, we're bringing them up bit by bit or one by one so you can see there. And we just want to remind our listeners and our viewers that we are also standing by to go to the various two-party headquarters.
St. Catherine Southeastern, Kennard Grant, so that's Bridgeport. That looks like Bridgeport, I think, yes, in St. Catherine, Bridgeport. Kennard Grant, PNP 651, 59% so far. Dwayne Eubanks, or is it Eubanks? Eubanks, 446 votes. Only 11 of 18 boxes counted. So
okay,
far.
we're going straight now to PNP headquarters.
Shown that the People's National Party, having not won a general election since 2011 or a local since 2012, we have shown that we have the capacity to deliver, to execute, achieve victory. And my heart is full because the PNP has come back as a strong, powerful force in this land again for the masses of people and our Jamaica. Comrades, we will continue the work. We will continue to build our momentum. We will continue what we have been doing because we will not let the people down. The people want to see. To Sister P, Mama P.
They were saying poor shot there. Mark Golding just said, and this is Giovanni speaking, Mark Golding just said they're dedicating today's performance to Portia Simpson Miller, who ascended to the leadership of the People's National Party on this day in 2006.
One of the children of Michael Manley, and he said to me, NW and Michael Manley are smiling tonight. And I want to say, the next PNP government will govern in the true spirit of the People's National Party as founded by the right excellent Norman Washington Manley and has created into a vibrant, massive force by his son, Joshua Michael Manley. I want to pick up PJ Patterson, the most successful politician in the history of Jamaica. In terms of electorate, who continues to mentor. He said, I want to go.
Okay, to Mark Oling, the PNP leader, and he said the PNP has shown they have the capacity to execute, to achieve victory. He said they would continue working to build momentum, and he called the night's results a rare victory. Let me go around the table, comments on what we've heard. Clive Mullins, let me start with you.
I'm not sure that the leader of the PNP should have given that particular speech about victory. I think it's rather early days yet. You have to look very carefully at the count in terms of the parish count or the municipal count. And I know that they were focused a lot on what was happening for Peel and elsewhere, and clearly in terms of the popular vote. But that doesn't necessarily translate into a victory. I think it may be so premature at this point in time. Maybe it's called a
Very
what is happening
premature.
and the euphoria, but maybe it may be a bit misplaced right now.
In Jamaica, we tend to give our own meanings to words. I don't know on what measure the term victory is appropriate. They have done surprisingly well. They haven't been victorious if one uses the measure as to the amount of municipalities they control. They haven't won. They haven't been victorious. They have retained, they have dealt with 2 out of 3 turnouts, or whatever they call them, right? The 2 out of 3 they have gotten. It's not a victory. It's not a victory.
More than that, remember the 2 in Westmoreland.
All right.
So 1 for the JLP.
All right, so they have 2 out of, they have 3 out of 5.
1, 2,
3 and 2.
4, 5.
5. 2 for the JLP and 3 for the PNP.
That's sorted.
Yeah, all right. It's close there.
The two in Westmoreland, 1 for the JLP. The 2 in the KSMC, lost for the JLP.
Yes, and there is 1 in St. Catherine for the PNP. The man who went from JLP to PNP. The one in the Ministers of Information constituency. Morris.
Okay,
Yeah,
that one is
yeah.
slipping me, but I'll double check it.
Yeah, Morris won for the one with it. The non-performer, the so-called non-performer, who performed well. He was being a non-performer by the minister.
We have also the Mocha division with the.
Okay, all right. Well, they figure the one in the corporate area is the one that they all were excited about. It seems to me that he has survived, and yeah, he puts survival as victorious. Maybe he means tending towards being victorious in the national central government election. Is a tendency. He's saying we're on the right, we're on a victorious track. Yeah. That's the most.
Remember earlier I said how they would see it, and as it, you know.
Yeah.
But this seemed to have gone a little bit too far. On the latest count, the JLP was leading and/or declared 7 parishes in terms of control of municipal authority. The PNP, if we were to include Portmore, would be at 5. So that's 7 and 5 is 12. So we have 2 left.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure if he's using victory in an appropriate sense, because you will not control, based on the numbers here so far they hold, the JLP will control most of the municipal
Hold on,
authorities.
I'll interrupt you. Going back to PNP headquarters, Giovanni Dennis is with Marco Ling. Go ahead, Giovanni.
All right, thank you so much, Liam. So you may see the camera shaking a bit because it's very crowded here. Lots of other media houses trying to get a quick word from Mr. Golding one-on-one. Mr. Golding, you said just now while addressing the party supporters that this is the beginning of the end of the JLP. Why do you say that?
You know, we are coming from where we were in 2020, where we were badly beaten, and today we've pulled off a victory into the popular vote, which we have won, that we control. We're expanding the number of divisions that we've won substantially, and we've won the KSAMC, including by a very substantial margin in the popular vote, having equal number of divisions. So overall, I think this means that the people have spoken and they are ready for change. And that is why I say it's the beginning of the end of this Jamaica Labour Party government.
So just for clarity, you're claiming that overall the JLP has won the local government, that you've increased the number of seats that you've won.
I'm telling you, we have won the popular vote, and we have done well because we have expanded the number of seats that we have, the number of divisions that we have, the number of seats that we control. The numbers have been a bit,
Okay. All right. Well, our panelists were saying just before we went to listen to Mr. Golding, why was he claiming victory? And we heard him explain there. He is basing it, he's saying, on the popular vote. He's basing it on an expansion of the number of actual divisions won. He said they had won the KSMC, which I don't know if you can say that. If it's a tie, what will happen is, if it remains a tie and they do have the total number of, they've won the popular vote there, then they'll get the mayor. But I don't equate that to a winning.
Well,
of the
if you look at the presentation and what he has really said, he's really lumped in on this popular vote, which takes us back to the beginning of talking about what does this mean for him as a leader of the People's National Party. Clyde, you made a point about clawing back voters, even though you said it's a race to the bottom. It seems to me that this is, do you use the word of referendum? Perhaps a referendum on his leadership, to say whether or not he had what it takes to design and to execute an election. It seems to me that this victory, as he has so described it, is cementing himself, as you have said, by giving him some room, that he can expand, he can make some decisions now, because he has demonstrated that he has the capacity to keep the PNP at the front burner, or to bring back some people who seem to have been disinterested. So maybe that is how he describes it.
More importantly, it sends a signal to donors.
True, that they're not there yet.
Yes, we have a last yet. If you increase, especially in the diaspora, if you increase your funding, we can do better.
Because we increase popular vote, we would expand the division.
Hold on for me, going back to electoral office. Go ahead, Siobhan.
Thank you so much, Dion. So at this point, we have 97.5% of the overall boxes counted, and that really appears to be where we will end things for the preliminary count. But here's the latest I have from the Portmore Municipal Corporation. All boxes have been counted. We have all those boxes in. That's 319 of 319. And for this very closely watched seat, we have the Jamaica Labour Party getting 10,899 votes, while the People's National Party's Leon Thomas got 14,891 votes. So again, that means that Leon Thomas has preliminarily been chosen as the returned as the mayor of Portmore, with Markland Edwards getting 10,899, being defeated there by the PNP's Leon Thomas. The data coming in preliminarily confirms the 29.6% voter turnout. As it relates to what's happening here at the EOJ, we are the last media house left here, which means that Jamaica, you know that we are your election station. That is where we'll wrap things up for today's event, coming from the Electoral Office of Jamaica. Of course, as you heard earlier, this is not where it ends. We will have those counts taking place, and then the confirmed results will come later on. But that is it from me and the team here at the Electoral Office.
Yet at the JLP headquarters, and what he is going to say. And I think one of the interesting things would be to hear how the two leaders.
In the popular vote.
Because everybody's going to claim
So you-
PM, are we going to be able to have a quick word with you this evening?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. So let's see.
Okay, so you're watching there, in fact, a live shot. So that was the Prime Minister having just arrived at the JLP headquarters on Belmont Road. We saw him there heading in, no doubt, to talk to his inner circle and to, get ready to come out now and address his supporters. And if you're looking there at the screen, you will see a markedly different picture than we saw earlier on when it was a very dark and lonely looking car park with Andrea Chisholm standing all by herself. So you can see clearly the supporters feel that, there's been a change in their circumstances, change in the difference, and we're seeing them coming out and express that. So we're waiting to hear from the Prime Minister now. And we're saying here before.
I wouldn't draw that conclusion.
What? That they think there's a change in their circumstances?
I'm not saying that, and the supporters feel that thing. And you say, look here, we have to get people at Belmont Road for the Prime Minister come in.
No, I
and
don't agree with you.
mobilize to get
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
Yeah,
I have seen. Yes, I watch Jamaica very closely when it comes to these election night things. You see how in the States, you will have a whole ballroom gathered of people waiting to hear from their losing candidate. Jamaica not play that. If you lose, you're on your own.
Yeah, no, the point is that crowd you see there has been engineered.
And I'm saying to you, do you remember the first time Mr. Holness ran? As led the Jamaica Labour Party.
2011.
Yes, 2011, 49 days or something after he had been sworn in, and he lost. And I must say, Desmond McKenzie and Sharon Hay Webster won with him at Belmont Road.
But
there was no crowd engineer.
Interestingly, beyond the last general election, this happened, I remember distinctly. We sat here and there was a crowd at Oakwood and hardly anybody. And then later on, it actually shifted.
Because people watching and people waiting.
People are watching and they're listening and they are listening to hear what is and trying to see what is happening.
One of the things that makes me, I'm curious, this interpretation of victory, because if you look at the numbers, you would say that the JLP they've not been destroyed. Nobody has come out to say, we don't trust you, we're not voting for you, it's a vote against you.
Nobody has lost.
So in the scheme of things, they too would have something to celebrate. Because leading up, you would have heard, it's a referendum on leadership. You're looking at the issues that have dogged the different members of the party. Will this have an impact? And it clearly did not.
But you remember when we started the poll and taking the point about the seat count in the last election, and therefore how much they can claw back.
Yes.
I don't think that they have done that sufficiently well for him to even, in relation to the popular vote, to say victory.
Is that so? PNP?
Right. So I think he's trying to maximize our votes tonight.
On himself.
On himself.
And his leadership.
To stay up everything going forward. But if you look at the numbers and where we're defending in terms of the incumbent.
Correct.
It is not
in all of the circumstances, you did not destroy the incumbent. You have, and I guess what people want to know and what people want to understand is, if you didn't lose, why so downtrodden? Why was there not so much excitement? What is the thinking? Is there something that has occurred that has deflated you? But as you said before, we are going into an election season. We're going to have 18 months.
This is the point now, because the question was, how would tonight's results impact when it is the PM calls elections? Is he going to now say, okay, something I can call it this year, I've done well enough, or is he going to look at the popular vote now and say, something, let me give it a little bit more time?
Well, remember the popular vote, what does the popular vote say in a national election? Remember, we're having this discussion.
We are, but again, remember the turnout in local government doesn't tell you what's going to be the turnout for the general.
So we're using it then as a bellwether, as an indicator as to what could possibly be the result in different areas.
What I'd say the most significant indicator would be how many divisions you have won in each constituency.
point.
Those are the numbers that you're going to need.
That we need. Plus, in relation to the point you just made, we did a Vox Pop that we aired, I think it was last week on All Angles, and one of the members of the public were asking, how you going to vote? One man said, look, the election here not change government. Me not come out of my yard and vote unless my vote change government. So people look at the general election with a different mindset. This is now they think going to make a significant difference.
So if that is so, then we can look at the speech that was made by Golding and say, who is he addressing? Is he saying to the PNP that stayed home that look, there is a popular voter or support that is supporting us, the PNP. And so you need to look at us because we can elevate, we can carry out an election. Or is it that he is, like you said, putting himself up as a leader now who is defining his moment?
Well, you didn't expect him to come out and say he lost.
No, well, we don't expect
None of them is going to come out and say that.
expect anything more measured. If I were organizers, strategists on the PNP side, I'd be crunching these numbers over the next 2 days in terms of.
Yeah, but it's too much talking.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying that you have to look at the parish vote, constituencies, and the divisions. I understand that. I'm just saying that's an overstatement. As I said earlier, they're going to focus on. They have increased the popular support. They have increased the number of divisions they have won, and it appears as if they will also increase the number of local authorities they will control. The last time was 9-5. It was 9-5 after 2016, I think it was. 9 in the JLP column, 5 in the PNP column. It could very well be now 7 in the JLP column so far, and then if we were to put Kingston and St. Andrew and Portmore in the PNP column at 6, at 7 and 6, 13, we're left with Clarendon. So we were left with Clarendon now, and it is 11-11, so it's a popular vote. So insofar as those numbers are concerned, Golding and the party will take some kind of yes, in that. What's important for his leadership, this is his first election, and he's saying, them are mashing up, they are still. Everybody that say Andrew are mashing up, they are still. So for him and his team and his survival in the People's National Party, he's going to claim this as a victory because he has clawed back. And he has increased the division numbers. He may have more local authorities, so it's marginal. In other words, things are evenly keel at this point.
If PNP gets, as it looks as if they will, the mayor of Kingston, that's a big get for him. That's a big get. As a prominent individual, he's going to be able to campaign in a different way. But in response to the point you're making as well in terms of who he was talking to, different constituencies, because he has to address his base.
Yes.
He has to address the people at home who didn't leave, but who might vote in a general election, and then as well the uncommitted who are watching to see what's going to happen.
And the money, because nobody's backing the bars.
But the thing then, since the coveted crown is KSAC, what does that mean tonight then? Is that the reason for the deflated spirits of the Jamaica Labour Party? The fact that you weren't able to retain?
I don't think they're deflated. I don't think they're deflated. What I think they're going to take from this is that everybody thought when you saw the numbers and the campaign that we were going to for the PNP to win. Here we are, standing still. So insofar as that is concerned, Andrew is going to take from, remember it's his second term as well. This is his second term. So going into a third term. And traditionally, people will be swinging around. For them to be holding it like this will encourage the Labour base.
And this is going back to your conversation about how difficult it is to win a third term. What does this mean in terms of their ability to take back some significant losses, appreciate where they are, reassess where they are, and come forward to secure a third term? Because essentially, this has not been a rejection of the Jamaica Labour Party.
No.
So it's not a rejection of the Jamaica Labour Party, and you step back and decide, what did I lose? Where did I lose? What were the factors? And use the 18 months of active campaigning it is more than likely that we might see the fortunes of a third term.
Let me just run through again, because the last set of results we're getting from EOJ is that nothing has changed from the last time we gave you the results, but I'm just going to run them through for you again. So Kingston is 3-3, 3 to JLP, 3 to PNP. St. Andrews 17 and 17. So in other words, Kingston and St. Andrews Municipal Corporation right now it's 2020. The EOJ is telling us. St. Thomas is 5 to JLP and 4 to PNP. So that's one division. We're not sure what is happening there. Portland is 6 to the JLP, 3 to the PNP. St. Mary is 7 to the JLP, 6 to the PNP. St. Anne is 11 to the JLP, 5 to the PNP. We have Trelawney, which is 6 to the JLP, 3 to the PNP. St. James, 11 to the JLP, 6 to the PNP. Hanover, 1 to the JLP, 6 to the PNP. Westmoreland, 3 to the JLP, 11 to the PNP. St. Elizabeth, 9 to the JLP, 6 to the PNP. Manchester, 3 to the JLP, 12 to the PNP. Clarendon, 11. So, as with St. Catherine, 18 to the JLP and 23 to the PNP.
And then Portmore?
Portmore isn't on this list that I have here. Okay.
So we're looking, let us take St. Thomas out of the equation just for one, because there's one. So we're looking at JLP having St. Bess, Trelawney, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, St. James, 6. Then the PNP, Westmoreland, Hanover, Manchester, St. Catherine, I'm going to say Portmore, and Kingston and St. Andrew on the popular vote. We'll go to them, that's 6.
6.
So we take 6 and 6, 12. Clarendon is left out there, and
Clarendon is tied.
St. Thomas.
And Clarendon is tied.
St. Thomas, we don't know what's happening.
St. Thomas. So
That's almost exactly, apart from the mayorship of the KCMC, if they get that, that's exactly where they were in 2016.
Correct.
Exactly where they were, including winning the Portmore division.
that's what the People's National
Yeah.
Party.
In 2016, they had won the Portmore division.
I'm asking, when you look at all things being equal.
But guess what? I think Mark Golding, I don't know about PNP, expected the JLP was going to give them a big
better run.
Yeah, a big beating. They really expected the JLP was going to get a big
low numbers.
And the money.
Yes.
Right, and the money. And Brocard was more popular than Marky G, right? Serious going, and polls show the JLP.
But the polls, remember the polls did show though that there was a slim.
Statistical lady. In fact,
it's turned to be correct.
Yes. So it turned out that it is
was
so.
correct. Yeah, the polls showed that it was so, and it seems to me that Holness realized what the polls were saying and campaigned till 2:30 in the morning and all like that. Serious campaigning was going on. He really pushed it hard. He really worked hard.
Are there any trends though that we're getting from what we're seeing tonight in terms of saying a lot has been said about the popular vote?
Yeah.
Trends are what people use to mark what could possibly happen in a general election. If you're looking at the outplay tonight, are there any trends? Is a popular vote? Because most of us never hear about popular vote before. It's just the first time now popular vote is becoming so popular. I mean, are there any trends? Is it that we're looking at the popular vote to say there is an increasing support now or return of the People's National Party?
I think what happened is that more the JLPs relied on statistics. Right? That didn't filter down to the reality of the people. They did statistics with growth, statistics with inflation. Right? The numbers didn't mean anything.
Most of us don't understand. You have to speak. Like Dion always says, she needs our listeners to understand. We rest of we need to understand what in the numbers mean.
Inflation and all like that. That never mean anything because the prices were going up same way and all like that. And all what the international community south of Jamaica and all like that didn't mean that thing. Independent Central Bank didn't mean that thing. People were dealing with reality.
Micro issues, local politics.
Local politics.
So,
in fact, the general election will be focused more on the local politics.
For the 18 months then that we're going to be traveling, Dion, because I know, Dion, you've been up for the whole day. You've been marshalling this all day. So, let me just try and ask the question.
The 18 months will be pure local government things. We're talking about road, everything that it was supposed to be local government, they did with the local government. But in fact, the Prime Minister said, this gave him opportunity to show that, hey, Jamaican people really suffer and want certain things. They want road and water. No, I thought that anybody that lived in Jamaica would know that Jamaicans want road and water, and they never take an election. They will go around and say that Jamaicans want road. You are so blinking and busy with your international community and your statistics and the inflation rate and all like that. And the threshold and all like that. Jamaican people want at least, you know, the fact is that I won't finish. Is that I won't finish? Is that one donkey the people want called prosperity for the whole situation, you know? Because if I was in the opposition, I make sure that donkey no longer than in prosperity that way. Because I don't know what happened to that donkey. But the people want road and water at least, and they hear me. You have to
Road,
give
water, and light.
They have give the people those local conditions and patch the roads. They don't care if it's council going to patch it. They don't care if it's MP going to patch it. They don't ask who fix the road. They say government must fix the road. We can't do it.
I wanna put in a little caution here. I don't think we should be saying 18 months necessarily, because the PNP clearly is gaining ground. Clearly gaining ground. So the question that the JLP and the leader will have to face is, do I go early or do I play the long game? In other words,
remember what's coming now, you know?
Yes.
The completion of the highway going through St. Thomas.
And the toll, no toll for that one. The toll down the other one.
And
the
then,
toll Williamsville one.
and then Montego Bay, seeing the start of the road there.
The hospital price gone up, the Cornwall Beach, price gone up again.
I can tell you, Montego Bay is a complete total nightmare in terms of traffic.
Warmington has to start seriously dealing with these things. Don't wait and no municipal corporation. Warmington has to make sure some roads fixed, some bridges built, right? And
so
one second. The reason why the PNP, not the PNP, the division that we were speaking about in St. Thomas apparently is Landui, and apparently there's a tie. Tomorrow the PNP won by 10 votes the last time, and we're hearing now that there's a tie this time. So what that means, just to remind our viewers and our listeners, what is happening tonight is called the preliminary vote, right? For most divisions, the preliminary vote will not, what should I say, there won't be a significant difference when you have the final vote. The final count that will be done usually starts tomorrow.
Yes.
Usually finishes, say, in a day or two.
And then you can't have the possibility of -0.
Right. But really and truly, the only time that you really look to the final count is if you have a very small margin. And I'm not talking about 100 votes. You don't say final count with 100 votes. Like 10 and less is what we're talking about. So that's the point at which, so we can see this happening for Landry. I can tell you from now, every single ballot is going to be scrutinized now.
Yes.
You know, so there's going to be a final count, and it's undoubtedly going to go to magisterial recount. Yes. And then you will have the spoiled ballots examined for whether or not the voter intention was for one side or the other. And
lawyers coming to play.
Did you just call lawyers play?
Yes.
Because what happens is that, you know, on the preliminary count, an X might seem to be in the wrong place, and it will be rejected as spoiled ballots. The spoiled ballots are not thrown away. They are put carefully in a special envelope. So when it's time now for the final count and then the magisterial recount, those are also carefully scrutinized. And what our case law shows is that what the courts do is that they look at a ballot to see if the intention of the voter can be determined. Because if it is that you can look and you say, okay, it's not exactly where it should be in law, but it's clear that the voter intended to vote for this side, then that will be given to that side. Because the what should I say, respect is given to the intention of the voter, so you don't want to discard votes. That would make a significant difference in swinging an election one way or the other. So
yeah, just to go to the point about what it means going forward. The fact of the matter is that what it means now is that you're going to have a government that has the resources to do a lot of these things in the 18 months.
Yes.
And so it may well be even a harder hill to climb for the PNP, because if they don't control these authorities, then what's going to happen now is that they're going to be behind the ball. And I suspect that what you're going to see in terms of the activity on the ground, in terms of the spend and so on, is going to be huge. And maybe, just maybe, what happened tonight, if it was more convincing for them, it would have been better.
All right, we're going to go to Belmont Road now. Prime Minister Andrew Holness getting ready.
He's in the Jersey conference room.
Okay, we see him taking a seat, and they are getting ready. As soon as he's ready to speak, we will go. So what determines who flanks you, gentlemen? What determines who gets to be in the shot?
The chairman has to be decided. Yes. The chairman by definition, and then the deputy.
No, chairman,
with the general secretary has to be there. The chairman, general secretary.
People have been instrumental in doing this.
The hierarchy.
That's what the general secretary might be in the West anyway, so who will be there?
The general secretary might take the plane up.
But he's going to have
international security, despite the
yes,
security matters.
Having Desmond is crucial, isn't it?
Desmond has to be there. Mr. Local Government has to be there.
Who else is at the table?
Well, that is Miller, is it? Yeah, Robert Miller and Ascot I see it beside. Ascot beside the minister. Senator Fitzgerald beside the Minister of Government, Mackenzie.
Mr. Mackenzie has to be here. He has a lot of work to do.
Prime Minister, you have live feed?
Yes, we are. I was about to tell you, we are live.
I see 100. Yeah, 100.
All right, well, Prime Minister asked if he was live and then had to take a phone call, so.
You know, this is the contrast. I like to see how people visualize this. So the JLP leader is in a quiet environment to deliver his press conference. It appears as if he has some notes to speak from, right? As distinct from the PNP leader in a noisy environment, no notes to speak on, just kind of.
He didn't use Patro.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, you're pointing on this distinction in presentation.
Very, very important. One is a lot more stated and delivering from what appears to be some
Stated and controlled.
That's correct. Another leader just talking, ad-libbing, just going on and so forth. So end up using words like victory and so forth and so on. And this is the difference between those two organizations.
No, hold on. You're making it sound as if Mr. Golding said victory without thinking. And
no.
Clearly, everything he said was deliberate, even though he was ad-libbing, as you said.
I understand that, but remember that it comes over now for a person to interrogate it. And when you begin to interrogate, you say, what do you mean?
No, but that's us saying that.
No, I accept that. Remember that
he has defended it.
Remember that I was the one who had said earlier that more than likely this is what they're going to present.
Interestingly, on X, I see the same person's asking the question, why is he saying victory?
Yes, there's two perspectives. You're going to have the perspective I laid out earlier that I'd expect them to say this, and I pointed to the increase in divisions, point by the popular vote, going to win more authorities. But then you have the other side now who's going to look at perspective, the independent person to interrogate and say,
well, I suppose what you're highlighting then is the strategy of the parents. As a speaker, you can't help but ask yourself, how do you maximize that? And I suppose that's really what you do.
Now 11:21, what a time to have a press conference. But we waited until we got the test results from the Electoral Office of Jamaica. What we can say to the nation is that the Jamaica Labour Party retains 7 municipal corporations with a clear lead. The PNP has 4, and there are 2 that are reported to be tied. So, without question, the Jamaica Labour Party has won the municipal elections, without question. the two municipal corporations that are tied, we should have some definitive results on those in a few days, possibly by Wednesday. But as you know, with these elections, as it was in 2016, they go through recounts, and where there are very close margins, there is the potential for change. So right now, the most definitive result that we can say is that the Jamaica Labour Party holds 7 municipal corporations, which is the majority of the corporations. The ties are the KCC and at this point, Clarendon. And as I said, those will probably go through magisterial recounts. How do you interpret this? How do you interpret this? Well, if we look at what existed before, the PNP retained Clarendon, retained Westmoreland, which they had Hanover, Manchester, and St. Catherine. The Jamaica Labour Party retained all that it had, which was Trelawney, St. Mary, St. Anne, St. James, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, and Portland. So, how do you interpret this? Clearly, the people of Jamaica maintains confidence in the government of the Jamaica Labour Party. Clearly, if this were a general election, the Jamaica Labour Party would still be the government of Jamaica, which is the result. So there is no, in my opinion, as I had expected, the results would largely be the same. Now, there are, however, issues that have come up in the campaign, which the government has been seized of and recognizes. And I think the people have, in their wisdom, found a way to communicate these issues through the ballot to the government. The government cannot ignore this. As we went around the country, every member of parliament, every councillor contesting the election would have come up on the issues of roads and water. These are not issues that are that originate with the Jamaica Labour Party. These have been long-standing issues that the people of Jamaica have been suffering.
Farmers suffer too.
But we note that people's expectations have risen. I made the observation that there are more cars in Jamaica now than ever before. Almost 150,000 or more cars have been imported into Jamaica since 2016. And the level of housing construction has increased. And therefore, people are expecting these conveniences and utilities to be readily available. Other pain points, such as garbage collection, more buses for public transportation, these are all issues that affect people in their households and in local ways. And the government is sensitive to this, recognizes that this has been an impact on the poll, but it is clearly not to the point where the public feels that the Jamaica Labour Party has not done anything about it. So we see this poll as an expression of frustration, and the government interprets this as we need to step up the pace at which we deliver benefits. I think without question, the country sees that we have managed the economy well, and we continue to be the political party that has the best capabilities and competencies to deliver the results that they need. So I want to therefore congratulate all the councillors who have won, both in the JLP and in the PNP. I want to thank the voters who participated in the election. As I said earlier, this is a victory for Jamaica's democracy,
It shows that our institutions are strong, and I thoroughly enjoyed the campaign, and I was very happy to have the opportunity once again to go out and do what I like to do, which is to meet my people, interact with them, and explain to them what the direction is. I know that there are those who will try to contort the results into a victory. In no calculus is 7-4 a victory, none whatsoever for the opposition. None. So I know that there are those who will try to contort it. And at the end of the day, things largely remain the same as it is in terms of what the results showed in 2016. The KSAC was very close. Clarendon, again, very close. But we will take this election results and interpret it honestly and do what is necessary to continue to maintain and grow the support of the Jamaican public. So once again, I thank the Jamaican voters who participated and congratulate all the councillors who have won. Thank you so much.
PM, I'm assuming you'll be taking questions. Yes?
Well, we could take a few questions.
Sure, we'll hurry because we're tired as well, PM. Andrea Chisholm from TJ, 2 quick questions. First of all, with the momentum now with the JLP, should Jamaicans expect to go back to the polls later this year for a general election?
It's a very good question. I have given it some thought, but I won't share them just yet. The truth is, we have work to do. And we have to be careful about election fatigue. I get the sense that people are more interested in getting their roads fixed and their water supplies connected. And for the months remaining to the constitutional due date, I can assure you that the government will be working very hard to have those 2 top items dealt with. You know, if you allow me to just make, when we did our survey of issues of concern, coming out of 2020 and 2016, you will notice that we always have roads and water. But the top concerns would have been crime, unemployment, economic growth, stability of the dollar. None of those have come up. Where we are now, and the clear message from the people of Jamaica, they say you are the political party that has the ability and the competence to generate the resources to treat with these 2 main problems which we have been suffering for 50 years. Get it done. We hear you. We knew this was the issue, and we're going to work very hard. We have announced a Spark program. We did that last year, and that is budgeted and ready to go. We will have a similar program for water, which we will announce shortly.
And PM, I remember since you're on the Spark program, opposition MP Julian Robinson had raised concerns about the terms of reference for consultations in Parliament. Have those issues been addressed?
I'm not sure what the concerns were. I was very clear that the consultations would include both MPs and councillors. There was an attempt, again, to misdirect and mislead that the allocations are only for MPs. This allocation is being done quite differently from other allocations. There is an allocation to the constituency, which will include a significant consultative process, and therefore MPs and councillors will have to work together with the community of interest to come to the priorities of roads that will be repaired. Bearing in mind the allocations that we are making could not fix every road all at once. It's physically not possible, administratively not possible, and therefore we have to select priorities, get them done within a short period of time, and then go to another cycle. What our economy has given us is the certainty, if we continue to manage the economy as we have, that you could have constant allocations of this level or greater. to address the issues of roads. And believe me, I will say, I traveled on the roads during the campaign, and it's justified. People are justified in local communities in particular in being upset about the state of their roads and water.
And finally, from me, before I yield to my other colleagues, Prime Minister, the Auditor General has issued a report talking about 22-point disclaimers for municipal corporations who can't afford to, who can't account for billions of dollars that were either allocated to them or being spent. What is the plan to improve accountability in the municipal corporations?
I might invite the Minister of Finance to speak generally on the Auditor General statement that falls under the Minister of Finance's portfolio. But the other part of your question, before I invite the Minister of Finance, I've said before on the platforms as I campaign that I too believe that there needs to be greater attention to accountability of our municipal corporations and how they work. Some persons have sought to roll this up into some form of local government reform, which suggests that local government has a special form of reform. The truth is that local government is an administrative arm of government like any other administrative arm of government. They fall under the PBMA and the other regulations of government, and greater attention and enforcement is needed to ensure accountability in this regard. So I will ask the Minister to just jump in here quickly.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Andrea, just would want to say that it is this government that has provided Auditor General with the funds to engage in audits of municipal corporations which were backed up for several years. So a few years ago, we took a look at it and realized that, wait a minute, the Auditor General is required to produce audited statements of municipal corporations' activities, but that duty was not undertaken for a very, very long time, meaning the last audit was like over a long period of time ago. I can't remember whether it's a decade or 9 years. In the 90s. A long time ago. This administration looked at it and said, this is a problem for public trust. This is a problem for accountability. And we engaged with the Auditor General and provided resources. I believe the resources were about $300 million for a project to be undertaken to look at all of the entities of which municipal corporations are a part, is broader than that, where there is a backlog of audits. And it is through that project that we are able to, the Auditor General is able now to make progress on that backlog. Now, what you're going to find as that happens is that issues that have to do with periods before the current period are going to arise. So when the reports come out, initially the reports won't be for this year or for last year, but it will be starting when the backlog would have occurred. Do you understand what I'm saying? But the way in which I think it ought to be interpreted is that the government is committed to ensuring that there is accountability across all entities, including municipal corporations, by funding the Auditor General to ensure that what has been the norm in Jamaica for a long time, that we've gone years without audits, that no longer continues. That is a sign of our commitment.
So the idea that local government needs a special reform, local government needs to be treated like another entity of central government and face all the administrative and regulatory procedures and made to comply with them, which is what the Minister of Finance has just said. The fact that you're getting reports that preceding even order should be carefully interpreted, that much of what you're seeing is not as a result of government, but we are the one that would have put in place measures to start the accountability.
And and just for the listeners who might be hearing the exchange and not understanding the period of time we're talking about, the report to which we refer, went back to 2006. All the way up to 2013 or thereabouts. So it's not for the current period in the past. But it's this government
declare how much
that
division then I say who
for that work to be produced.
I think I should also say that
9.
I'm happy for this election.
But it look like Southeast
because
gone green.
it does give me an
Ochi
to
take
a very serious look at how our local governments work, how the municipal corporations work. Because as I go around the country,
celebrate.
there is a call for more funding. When you talk to people in local government, it appears to be that the solution is more money. And what I'm picking up from is that yes, they want to see more resources, but they also want more service. They want more interaction. They want to see their
declare PNP win, but with job at
they want more leadership in community issues, and therefore the role of the councillor, which has just been reduced to a kind of transactional agent, that has to be rethought. The council has to be more of a community leader that brings the community together to find local solutions to the problem. And not just local service problems, but what do we want our community to be? And there are so many communities that have great potential, great assets. The question is, how do you mobilize the stakeholders to utilize those assets to define the community? So going forward, having had the campaign and having seen some of the glaring gaps, you can look forward to a more rounded local government structure.
Kimon Francis from the Gleaner, what's the status of the census?
Well, again, that is on the minister, but the census is ongoing. Minister, you could answer.
Yeah, thank you, Kimon, for that question. The census is in the final stages of being completed, with the data capture process having come to an end and the analytical process being underway. A fuller update will be provided at a time when we can focus on that as a subject material. But we're coming to the end of the analytical phase of the census process.
So is it that data gathering is complete? Because there are concerns, and I've seen it. I have not been, I have not participated. So I'm wondering where exactly are we now? Is it that data has been collected and they're analyzing now to finalize everything? I don't understand.
Yes, the data gathering stage is at completion, and they're in the analytical stage of the census process.
I think you should point out that not everyone is.
Yeah.
You could point that out just
Okay, well, I'll just squeeze in one very quickly. Minister Clark, we saw the apology from the central bank this week regarding the overestimation of the impact of the increase in JUTC bus fares on inflation. We heard what you had to say about standing by that decision, but the opposition has maintained that it is a bad policy decision. Is it that there's going to be another measure to help to temper inflation? What are you going to be doing about it?
This government has made a good habit of providing targeted intervention for members or segments of the population that are in need of such intervention. By targeted, what we mean is that the vast majority of the resources go to the intended group and intended population, and that's a population where the need can be demonstrated. The reduction in bus fares is something that we're very proud of. There are approximately 30 to 40,000 persons on an annual basis who, well, 30 to 40,000 persons who take the JUTC, and largely these are persons who are not on major incomes, and we're happy that they're able to benefit from a reduction in the fare of the JUTC from $100 to $70, and come April 1st, from $100 in December to $50, half price fare. And we think that for persons on small incomes, for persons on minimum wage, this is a material difference in costs. So much so that the JUTC has seen an upsurge in usage as a result of the lower fees. It would have been happier if the impact on inflation.
As I reflect on your statement, and I reflect on the opposition spokesman's statement, I recall him being a great proponent of the government taking almost $40 billion of the budget to give grants and to just give away. You recall? You would simple Google search would see in his budget presentation 2 years ago, where that was his recommendation. Was that bad policy then?
It's a hypocritical stance. I mean, call it for what it is.
Yes.
This is a government that is providing support to members of the traveling public who are on smaller incomes. And we're providing that support by reducing what is a major cost for them. $100 a day.
What?
To pay. That is vulnerable Jamaicans. The opposition is hypocritical. This is a government that believes in supporting vulnerable members of the population. They're hypocritical.
Will you be removing the hedge tax on fuel?
That is a narrative framing that is incorrect. There's no hedge tax on fuel.
The hedge on fuel.
There's no hedge on fuel, Andrea. You bought into a false narrative.
Finally, from me, the income tax threshold. Anything definitive now on that?
There is a threshold though.
There is a threshold. There ain't no hedge tax, but there is a threshold. Yes. So, look, this is the government that has presided over an unprecedented period in Jamaica's history of no new taxes every single year for 6 consecutive years. This is the government that has reduced taxes. One, by increasing the threshold back in 2017, and also by reducing GCT and reducing and abolishing a number of taxes. This is the government that believes in a policy position of ensuring that people are in charge of their own resources and we trust them to spend it wisely. It is this government's position to revise the income tax threshold upwards whenever the opportunity presents itself. Let me say this, you will not have to, you won't need to wait on any other government for that to happen. This government will address the income tax threshold.
I think you should.
Fix on the road.
Okay. Had to calm down everybody because, lots of discussion taking place. All right, so we're just going to do a very quick recap of the results at this point. We are also going to get just a very final comment from each of our guests in relation to the Prime Minister's speech. Let me first, though, correct myself. A couple of my listeners have very kindly pointed out to me that when I was explaining to you what happens in a close election, that I was confusing rejected ballots with spoiled ballots. Spoiled ballots, JW, thank you, Sean, thank you. They're telling me are deemed spoiled at the point at which the ballot is marked. Those are not at any point reintroduced into the vote. It's the ballots that are deemed rejected that will later be re-examined and a decision made on them. So again, thank you so much to my awesome viewers and listeners always coming in. And let me do the final quick comments from the panelists, and then we'll just recap the number of divisions, popular vote, and so on for you. So very, very quickly, Paul Ashley, comment on the Prime Minister's speech.
Was Prime Ministerial is the first from my many years in observing politics. I've heard a leader of a particular party that has won an election congratulate all members who have been successful. That was a big man. That's a big man. He has come up in my estimation.
In terms of his own presentation, that of the Prime Minister, it was indeed Prime Minister, but also sobering. What I got from it was a reality, and that, listen, in terms of arrogance, forget that. Yes, he was eating some humble pie here. He also recognized, as we were discussing earlier, what needs to happen, and we expect them to be doing that, especially since a general election is going to be due next year. So there's a contrast in terms of the presentation, that in terms of the leader of the opposition in the year 4 and so.
Column with Clarendon up for grabs as it appears. So it could turn out that we have 7-7. Each party could have at the end of it 7 local corporations, or the JLP could have 8 and the PNP 6. So when he said 7-4, I was kind of like, it's not 7-4 Prime Minister. So he could have been a little bit more generous in relation to the data itself. In the end, I agree with you. I thought he was complimentary in terms of saying to the other guys who, I'm terribly sorry, and he identified the roads and the water, critical local government issues.
I agree with my colleagues. I'll only add the word that came to mind is reticent. He seemed a little bit more reserved. I think that is perhaps calculating the lessons from the day, which I think is very important. He did indicate from me that one of the things I want to do is to look at how to improve or let the support grow, which clearly indicates that he's about the long game. He's going to be answering the issues on the ground, as he has indicated, which we had suggested. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what's the response to the issues on the ground and how do they translate the success at the top to the success at the bottom. And if that can give you the edge for a third term, which would be something almost unusual.
Only PJ.
Unusual in all the circumstances, but not something that can't be done.
John, can I just add one more factor?
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
TBJ did a brilliant job today. A very outstanding job. The set was vastly improved. When I turned on my TVs this afternoon, I thought I was watching something from the First World. It was vastly improved. Congratulations. And you have stood the test of the marathon. Well.
What a fantastic team. Okay, let's just go to the quick recap of the final results. And just to add to what you all have said, I would say the PM's comment that work needs to be done and the roads and water suggests we're not seeing a general election in the next couple of months. All right, so let's just recap very quickly where we are at the end of the evening. The Kingston divisions, 3 each to the JLP and PNP. St. Andrews, 17 each to the PNP and JLP. St. Thomas, we're at 5 for JLP, 4 for PNP. Portland, we're at 6 for the JLP, 3 for the PNP. St. Mary, we're at 7 for the JLP, 6 for the PNP. St. Anne, 11 for the JLP, 5 for the PNP. Trelawney, 6 for the JLP, 3 for the PNP. St. James, 11 for the JLP, 6 for the PNP. Hanover, 1 for the JLP, 6 for the PNP. Westmoreland, 3 for the JLP, 11 for the PNP. St. Elizabeth, 9 for the JLP, 6 for the PNP. Manchester, 3 for the JLP, 12 for the
Idiot, you don't know which part they're in.
11, so that's tied. St. Catherine, 18 for the JLP, 23 for the PNP. Someone had asked earlier about
Santa
the
here,
Portmore
they lose.
municipality. The Portmore divisions are counted in with St. Catherine. You would have to disaggregate them to say exactly who now is going to be sitting on the Portmore. Three 862 303,862. The JLP 282543 282,543. And finally, the number of divisions. At this point, can we bring that up as well, just to complete our recap of where we are for the evening? I think we have that. Do we have that? Okay. So declared, we have for the PNP 102 divisions declared, for the JLP 95 divisions declared. I think we have also had a graphic for the number in which the two parties were leading. Do we have that? There we go. At this point, the JLP of those left to be declared, the JLP is leading in 16, the PNP is leading in 14. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our marathon coverage on this local government election night. Marathon indeed, says my director in my ear. And thank you so much to all our panelists throughout the evening.
My man did.